You know, one of the key elements when you're training reining horses is the ground. You know, for so many reasons, for circling, for stopping, for turning, everything, the ground is so important. If you're circling, you want ground that's, you know, not too hard where it's going to give them any concussion injuries, but not so deep that it's going to cause, you know, soft tissue injuries, tendon injuries, and whatnot. Same thing turning. If you're turning and your ground is real deep and they get bogged way down, it's super hard for a horse to turn in really deep ground. And then, of course, the obvious one is running and stopping. And for me, you know, it's changed a lot over the last 20 years. I used to like to keep my ground a little tougher, a little more difficult, because if they could stop in the deeper ground at home, they could go stop anywhere that we went to horse show. But our event has evolved over the years to the point where everywhere we go, they have a professional groundskeeper, somebody that knows the reining, and the ground is faster and faster, meaning horses are able to slide further than they ever have been. So I like to keep my ground at home, you know, where it's tough enough that they have to try a little bit, but it's still fast enough where they can slide a distance and they learn how to balance themselves. So then when we go to a horse show where the ground will be a little bit slicker, a little bit faster, it's easy for them to make that transition. I think one of the problems you can fall into, if your ground's too fast at home, then they'll get to not trying enough and they'll stand up and not commit to the ground as hard. And if your ground's too deep at home, it gets hard, I think, to get them to run. If you're fencing them running to that stop, they have to try so hard that they can't make a nice, easy step into the ground, which therefore causes them to run down there anticipating that stop too much. So I think ground is so important, and I know we spend a lot of time and a lot of effort on our ground here. We put a lot of water on it. We drag it a lot. We do everything we can to keep it as consistent as we can, so every time you run down there and stop, it's the same, and it can really build a horse's confidence.